August 8th, 2016, Salem, India. The clock strikes 9 p.m. as a train prepares to depart from Salem railway station, bound for Chennai. It's a typical Monday night. Passengers board the train with ease, the platform unusually calm. But something feels different. As they step onto the train, their eyes catch an unusual sight. Dozens of policemen stationed across the platform, their gazes sharp, their postures tense. What are they guarding? Or perhaps, who? The passengers assumed that a leader or politician was traveling on the train, which is why so many police officers were present. But as the train started moving, the policemen began boarding. This confused the passengers. There was no leader or politician on board, so why were so many police officers getting on the train? But as the train started moving, the policemen began boarding. This confused the passengers. There was no leader or politician on board, so why were so many police officers getting on the train? Despite the situation, most passengers settled down and went to sleep. However, some remained awake and noticed something strange. The police officers were guarding the train at every station it stopped at. Each time they would step onto the platform, holding their guns, watching both sides carefully. This felt unusual to the passengers, making them uneasy. On the morning of August 9th, 2016, after an 8-hour journey, the train finally arrived at Chennai railway station. Passengers began gathering their luggage, preparing to leave. As they stepped off the train, they noticed the police officers surrounding the parcel van compartment, standing guard. Seeing this, the passengers assumed that something valuable or important must be inside. After the passengers had left, the parcel compartment was detached from the train and transported to a nearby station under tight security. Moments later, officials from the Reserve Bank of India arrived to receive what was inside. Inside the compartment were stacks of sealed boxes. Not just a few, but nearly 200 boxes, all filled with 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. The estimated total? A staggering 3 billion Indian rupees. Officers opened the compartment and stepped inside to collect the boxes. They were met with a shocking sight. Above them, in the roof of the compartment, was a gaping hole, a clean, precise cut. The sealed boxes that were supposed to be filled with cash had been tampered with, their contents missing. Someone had broken in from above and stolen the money right under their noses. The police officers stood frozen in disbelief. They had been guarding the train all night, watching every station, every movement. And yet, the unimaginable had happened. A daring heist executed with precision, leaving behind nothing but empty boxes and unanswered questions. The robbery shook the entire nation. A heist of this scale, pulled off on a moving train, was unheard of. But the biggest question remained: who did it? And more importantly, how? With no clear leads, the police were left baffled. Special investigation teams were formed, and the hunt began. Their first theory: the robbery might have happened at one of the railway stations during a stop. The police meticulously examined CCTV footage from every station the train had stopped at, hoping for a lead. But to their frustration, they found nothing. The robbers had left no trace, no suspicious activity, no unusual movements. Every assumption the police had made so far was in vain. Days turned into months. 2 years passed, and yet the culprits remained untraceable. The case seemed to be slipping away. Desperate for a breakthrough, the police took a new approach. They decided to track cell phone tower data along the train's route. Filtering through 10 different towers, they analyzed a staggering 100,000 calls made while the train was crossing. Out of the 100,000 calls, the police narrowed it down to 11 suspicious calls. These numbers were traced, hoping they would finally lead to the robbers. But once again, disappointment struck. The numbers belonged to construction laborers from North India who had been traveling on the same train. Another dead end, another failed lead. Yet the officers refused to give up. They took a different approach, tracking numbers that were active during the heist but later deactivated. This time, they found a crucial link. The trail led them to one state, Madhya Pradesh. For the first time in 2 years, the case had a real lead, and what they were about to uncover would change everything. With a solid lead pointing to Madhya Pradesh, the police formed a special team to track down the culprits. But this wasn't going to be easy. The robbers had been in hiding for 2 years. To avoid suspicion, the officers disguised themselves as vendors, blending into the local communities, gathering bits of information from the people. Months passed with little progress. But then, a breakthrough. An informer tipped them off. One of the heist members was heading to Chennai in 2 days. The police sprang into action, setting up a secret operation at Chennai railway station. Every officer was on high alert, watching every movement, waiting for the moment to strike. And then the moment came. The police moved in swiftly, arresting 2 key members of the heist, Dinesh Party and Rohan Party. During the interrogation, the police uncovered a shocking truth. Dinesh Party and Mohan Party belonged to a notorious criminal clan known as the Party Clan. The Party Clan had a long history of crime, specializing in robbery and even murder if necessary. They operated mainly in the northern parts of India, but they had a unique strategy, never committing crimes in their own state, because they knew they could be easily identified and caught. Instead, they targeted faraway states where no one would suspect them, making it harder for the police to track them down. The party gang had a unique way of operating. They didn't just break in and steal. They were masters of observation and planning. They disguised themselves as vendors, roaming around streets, railway stations, and residential areas. While selling goods, they would secretly study their targets, memorizing routines, security patterns, and weak spots. 2 police officers were casually discussing the transportation of money by train, completely unaware that someone was listening. A woman from the Party Clan overheard the conversation. Without wasting time, she informed her clan members. This was the moment the party gang had been waiting for. Their leader, Mohar Singh Party, took charge. He meticulously studied every detail: the date of the transfer, how the money was being transported, the security arrangements, and the train's route. The party gang didn't rush into the heist. They were patient and calculated. For 7 days, they traveled on the same train, carefully studying every detail: the layout of the compartments, the movement of the guards, and the stations along the route. That's when they made a crucial discovery. Between Salem and Virudhachalam, there was a 45-minute stretch with no stations. A perfect window of opportunity. No stops, no prying eyes, just darkness and speed. This was it. This was the moment they would strike. On August 8, 2016, under the cover of darkness, the party gang put their daring plan into action. As the train slowed down at an unknown location between Salem and Virudhachalam, they boarded silently, not from a station, but directly onto the moving train. Carefully, they clung to the joints between the compartments, avoiding detection. Then, like trained professionals, they climbed onto the roof, inching their way toward their target, the parcel van carrying the cash. Once there, they worked swiftly and precisely. Using a welding machine and manual cutters, they cut through the roof, creating an entry point. Once inside, the party gang was overwhelmed with excitement. Their plan had worked. They were inside the parcel compartment, standing before billions of rupees in cash. Without wasting time, they broke open the wooden boxes and grabbed as much money as they could. Every second counted. They stuffed bag after bag with bundles of 500 and 1,000 rupee notes, knowing they had only minutes before reaching the next station. In total, they looted around 25 to 30 boxes, a fortune in their hands. Then came the escape. As the train crossed a bridge over a river, they made their final move. One by one, they jumped off the train into the dark waters below, disappearing into the night. They had pulled off the impossible, a high-speed train heist. But their happiness was short-lived. After successfully fleeing the train, the party gang returned to their home state, eager to enjoy their loot. But when they opened the stolen boxes, what they saw left them shocked and devastated. The rupee notes were damaged, torn, and unusable. These weren't fresh notes. They were old, demonetized currency that the RBI had planned to repair and recirculate. Their entire loot was worthless. Billions of rupees, reduced to nothing. Desperate, they tried to exchange the notes in banks, little by little, hoping to avoid suspicion. But this too did not go as planned. On November 7, 2016, everything changed. In a shocking move, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the demonetization of 501,000 rupee notes across the country. Overnight, these notes became worthless. For the party gang, it was a nightmare come true. Their stolen cash, which they had risked everything for, was now just useless paper. They desperately tried to exchange the notes at banks, but with stricter regulations and scrutiny, it was impossible. Frustrated and helpless, they had no choice but to burn nearly 20 million rupees in cash, money that had no value anymore. After all their meticulous planning, months of surveillance, and the life-threatening heist, they were left with nothing. It was the ultimate loss, a perfect crime ruined by pure bad luck. With no way to use the stolen money, the party gang's fate was sealed. The police, having already captured key members Dinesh Party and Mohan Party, used their leads to track down the remaining culprits. After a long investigation, the gang members were finally arrested and sent to jail. Not only did this heist come to a tragic end for the robbers, but it also helped the authorities solve two other long-standing cases linked to the party gang. Even today, this case remains one of the most fascinating heists in Tamil Nadu's history. A brilliantly planned crime that was ruined by fate itself. What do you think about this shocking case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this case intriguing, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more spine-chilling crime investigations.